This is the story of why Britain's biggest car factory may soon be building Chinese cars, and why that story turns out to be almost the opposite of what most people assume. In June 2026, Nissan and Chery International UK signed a non-binding agreement to study exactly that: Chinese-branded passenger cars rolling off a British production line at Nissan's plant in Sunderland. Read the headline on its own and it looks like national decline, a proud car-making country reduced to assembling somebody else's vehicles. Look closely at the numbers though, and something colder and more logical comes into view. This isn't really a story about decline, it's a story about arithmetic. One figure sits underneath everything else, and it has nothing to do with a single factory. In the first half of 2026, Chinese-owned brands captured 15% of the UK new car market, which came to almost 175,000 vehicles out of a total of 1.13 million. That was a rise of 121% in 12 months, inside a market that grew by only 9%. By June, their share had reached a record 16.5%, and across the first 7 months of the year, it pushed toward 20%. Those cars had to be built somewhere, and Britain had left the door wide open. When the European Union placed tariffs on Chinese-built electric cars in 2024, and Britain, having left the EU in 2020, chose not to, this country became one of the easiest major markets in the world for Chinese brands to enter. They took full advantage. BYD closed out 2025 with 51,422 registrations here, ahead of Tesla's 45,513, having overtaken the American brand back in September, and worldwide it delivered 2.26 million electric cars that year against Tesla's 1.64 million. MG, sold in Britain by SAIC since 1911, led every Chinese brand in the first half of 2026 with 48,741 registrations, a rise of 14%, across a network of more than 150 dealerships, wider coverage than Mazda or Honda can claim. Then came Chery, whose sub-brands arrived in waves: Omoda in August 2024, Jaguar in January 2025, and the Chery badge itself in September 2025. Its Jaguar 7 topped the entire national sales chart in March 2026 with 10,064 registrations, finishing ahead of the Ford Puma, the Nissan Qashqai, and the Kia Sportage. And Jaguar's UK chief, Jaguar Land, called that a landmark moment. By July, the Chery brand on its own outsold Honda and Mazda put together. Volkswagen still ranked as the country's best-selling manufacturer that half-year with 90,150 registrations, yet the direction of travel was impossible to miss. To understand why a British plant now has room for those cars, you have to look at what Britain stopped building. Ford opened its engine plant in Bridgend around 1980, and after 4 decades and more than 22 million engines, the lines fell silent on the 25th of September 2020, with roughly 1,700 jobs lost. Honda had built cars in Swindon since 1985, and when it announced closure in February 2019, it put 3,500 jobs at risk directly and around 10,000 more across the local supply chain, before the last Civic left the line in July 2021. Vauxhall had assembled vehicles in Luton since 1905, and Stellantis closed that plant by April 2025, blaming the zero-emission vehicle mandate and taking around 1,100 jobs with it. In Birmingham, the final combustion engine Jaguars rolled off the line at Castle Bromwich in May 2024, drawing car production there to a close after decades. Each closure carried its own explanation, yet the ending rarely changed, because a factory that had run for a generation simply went quiet, and the supply chain around it went quiet too. One collapse matters more than all the others because it is the blueprint for everything happening now. When MG Rover went under at Longbridge on the 8th of April 2005, around 6,000 people lost their jobs and British-owned volume car production came to an end. Watch what followed because the shape of it repeats. A £1 billion deal with China's SAIC had been announced in November 2004, then fell apart by March 2005, and that July, Nanjing Automotive bought the assets for a little over £50 million. Nanjing was later absorbed into SAIC, which brought MG back to life in 2011. A British car company failed, a Chinese company bought the badge, and the name carried on under new owners. 2 decades later, MG stands as the best-selling Chinese brand in Britain. All of that history collided with a single brutal year. Across 2025, UK vehicle production fell 15.5% to 764,715 units, the lowest output since 1952, and passenger car production alone dropped to its worst level since 1956. Mike Hawes, chief executive of the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders, called it the toughest year in a generation for UK vehicle manufacturing. Part of that was structural, and part was one extraordinary stroke of bad luck. On the 1st of September 2025, Jaguar Land Rover was hit by a cyber attack that shut down its systems for roughly 5 weeks. The Cyber Monitoring Centre put the damage to the UK economy at £1.9 billion, reaching more than 5,000 businesses, making it the most costly cyber attack in British history. JLR's own output fell 21.7% that year, and for the full year to March 2026, its pre-tax profit before exceptional items collapsed to just £14 million, down from £2.5 billion the year before. Set those two forces side by side, and the logic of the Chery deal starts to appear. On one side sits a wave of Chinese cars selling in record numbers, with nowhere obvious to build them near their buyers. On the other, cite British factories with idle lines and balance sheets under real strain. Jaguar Land Rover and Chery already know each other well, having formed a 50-50 joint venture back in 2012 called Chery Jaguar Land Rover, which builds JLR models on Chinese soil. In June 2024, the two went further and agreed to license a dormant name to that venture. The Freelander, the Land Rover that launched in 1997, grew into Europe's best-selling 4x4 and was the first vehicle in the world to offer hill descent control before being replaced by the Discovery Sport, has been brought back. Not as a Land Rover, though. Freelander returned as a standalone electric brand, revealed in Shanghai in March 2026, with 6 models planned over 5 years, and the first of them, the Freelander 8, is built in China at Changshu, a British badge riding on a Chinese-built car. Which brings the whole story back to Sunderland and to the factory at the centre of it. Nissan opened the Sunderland plant in 1986, and it grew into the biggest car factory in the history of the British motor industry. The very first car down the line was a Nissan Bluebird, which took around 22 hours to build, and since then the site has produced more than 11 million cars, on average one every 2 minutes. Today it employs roughly 6,000 people directly, supports about 30,000 more through the supply chain, and builds the Qashqai, the Juke, and the new Leaf, with an electric Micra on the way. The scale of what it can do is exactly the problem, because the plant now runs at only about 50% of its capacity. Across 2025, it built 273,174 vehicles against a capacity somewhere between 500,000 and 600,000. And to put that in perspective, Sunderland on its own produced more cars last year than all of Jaguar Land Rover's British plants combined. In May 2026, Nissan chose to consolidate production onto a single line, which freed up the other, and by June it had signed that agreement with Chery to study building Chinese cars on the spare line, potentially from the 2027 financial year. Ownership of the plant stays entirely with Nissan, and the workers stay on Nissan's books. Nissan executive Massimiliano Messina called it an important step forward. Before deciding how to feel about that, it helps to hear the case in its favour, because there genuinely is one. An idle production line employs nobody at all. A busy one puts British workers to work, generates British tax, and feeds a British supply chain. If Chinese cars are going to sell here in these numbers regardless, and they clearly are, then building them in Sunderland at least keeps that work in the northeast. Producing cars inside Britain or Europe also helps a Chinese manufacturer avoid the import duties that come with shipping from China, which is exactly why Chery has been setting up production on the continent. It forms part of why the British government has actively courted these partnerships as it works to rebuild national output to 1.3 million cars a year by 2035. So here is the honest verdict. For 40 years, the arrangement was simple. Britain built cars and the rest of the world bought them, and Nissan came to Sunderland precisely because this was a good place to make things. What sits on the table now runs the other way around, someone else's car, someone else's brand, assembled here because the space happens to be going spare. That is a real change, and it is fair to feel something about it either way. Even so, the plant that opened in 1986 was never built to fly a flag. It was built to keep thousands of people employed, making vehicles the world wanted to buy. The badge on the bonnet was never really the point. The line running was. Britain's biggest car factory may soon be building Chinese cars, and now you know exactly why.